Alright everybody, your boy Jesse from Loki Doki here, and I'm so excited to explain why right after this video, you should go watch Haikyuu. It's a rare occurrence for a TV show or a game to have a tangible effect on our day-to-day lives, the kind that shifts how society functions even if for a short period. For TV, the last season of Game of Thrones comes to mind. While it was airing, it was all that anyone talked about, scheduling their lives around each episode, and when it was over, well, it was all anyone hated.
If you could describe the season finale of Game of Thrones in one word, how would you describe it?
Disappointing.
For games, think back to 2016 when everyone was running around the streets with their phone in their hand chasing invisible Pokemon, and it was considered the cool thing to do. This graph may be a little outdated at this point, but it's the most recent data I could find. Interest in volleyball clubs had been declining steadily over the prior years, but volleyball wasn't going down without a fight. Like a hero at its weakest, mustering strength to unlock some new badass power, Haikyuu started its run in the Shonen Jump Weekly. Magically, the decline stopped, and it gained more students than it lost in a year for the first time in recent history. But that wasn't enough. With the anime release in 2014, interest of Haikyuu took off like a stock at GameStop. Haikyuu's central story follows the tale of a short yet fiery player, Shoyo Hinata, who finds his love of volleyball one day from watching a match where Karasuno High School was playing at Nationals on TV. Hinata becomes inspired by a player the casters call the Little Giant. He's a short yet dominating wing spiker for Karasuno, who can reach the same height, if not higher, than the other taller players. While in middle school, Hinata is the only member of the boys volleyball club until his third year. A few others join, but it's still not enough to form a whole team. He convinces two of his friends to temporarily join so that he can finally play in his first real tournament. In their first match, they're pitted against one of the favorites to take the tournament, Kitagawa Daiichi Junior High. He realizes that standing across from him on the court was Tobio, King of the Court, Kageyama, a setter that earned his nickname not because of his astounding natural talent, but because of his tyrant-like leadership. He would constantly yell at his teammates that their positioning was off, but only because he was unwilling to conform to what they needed, and believed that he was setting the ball in the best possible spot. The game was a swift victory for Kitagawa Daiichi. However, Hinata was able to show that although he lacked experience, what he did have was determination, and an insane vertical leap. Hinata stunned the crowd and commentators when he managed to hit the ball over after a quick attack that no one on either team saw coming. The spike, unfortunately, lands out of bounds and cost him the match. After the match, Hinata swore to Kageyama that he would surpass him in the future. Little do they know, they would soon be joining forces as two of the new first-year students at Karasuno and would eventually become the team's most threatening offensive force. If you ask anyone what makes Haikyuu so incredible, I guarantee that the first reason that most would give is the characters. Haikyuu has checks and balances for almost every character. Hinata is loud, personable, inexperienced, and clumsy, while Kageyama is quiet, demanding, reserved, and calculated. The contrast is even portrayed visually with Hinata's messy, bright red hair compared to Kageyama's that is black and perfectly straight. It's these differences that make them such an endearing duo. Kageyama finally has someone who can fall through to his masterful sets, and together, they can pull off a devastating quick attack, which they learn to hone throughout the series. As Hinata grows, so does Kageyama. Throughout the anime, he's surrounded by teammates who help him improve his technical abilities and improve his social skills by teaching him valuable lessons about adapting to what they need and how to control his attitude. Even with all that attitude control, there's still just as rivalrous throughout the entire series, to the other teams and to teammates alike. It'd be nearly impossible to fit what makes each character so unique in this episode, so maybe I'll make a separate video in the future. But for now, here's a quick overview of each player on the team. You have Daichi Sawamura, the team's captain who keeps everyone in line and has everyone's best interest in mind. He can't do anything crazy on the court, but he has a solid foundation for the other players to grow off of. Koshi Sugawara. Sugawara is to the team like Aolo is to my ginger skin. He's soothing and gentle in his ways and acts as a pillar of support for his teammates. He was the former lead setter and mature enough to realize that it's best for the team if he backs down to take a more supportive role for Kageyama to set. Asahi Azume, aka the revived Ace, aka the negative goatee, aka the samurai guy, but most importantly, aka the ace of Karasuno. He often intimidates players on the other team with a sick man bun and ability to grow facial hair, but in reality, he's a gentle giant with a glass heart who takes everything super personally. But after regaining his confidence in the first season, he is dead set on holding his 8th title. Yu Nishinoya, the team's libero, whose insane ability to receive the ball in the blink of an eye isn't the only thing that makes him by far the most anime character in this anime. Have you ever tried coming up with a special move while throwing your dog a ball at the park? You know, like something along the lines of Super Mega Jacket Throw! No? Just me? Well, I'm sure Nishinoya would at least think it's cool, because he often names his special moves too, like the infamous Rolling Thunder. Ryunosuke Tanaka. Even louder than Hinata, he's the type to have a short fuse and a short explosion. He's still immature and loves to be goofy with Nishinoya, but he still takes pride in being a senpai into the first years. Hisashi Kinoshita. Very similar to Yamaguchi in the fact that he's very doubtful of his abilities. He honed his serve throughout the show to be a clutch pinch server. Kie Tsukishima. A hard-headed, sassy, big-brained middle blocker. As talented as he is, he avoids effort for fear of failure for a large part of the series. Eventually, he learned the value of hard work and gained the passion that gave me chills the moment it happened. Tadashi Yamaguchi, Tsukishima's friend. He isn't good at everything, but he works on a special float serve with hopes of being a consistent pinch server. And you know what? That's a good thing. This is another thing I love about Haikyuu. It teaches kids that even though you may not be the best at everything like others on the team, it doesn't mean that you can't play a vital role in your team's success. The creative use of rivalry is what makes Haikyuu stand out. From what I've described, you would think that the main rivalry is between Kageyama and Hinata, and in a way, I agree. Still, I also want to say that I don't think that there's a main rivalry, as the rivalry is embedded both internally and externally for every team on the show. The characters compete with each other just as much as they compete with the other team. What makes Goku's and Vegeta's dynamic so interesting? Even though they both put in a considerable amount of training, Goku has more natural abilities than Vegeta, so Vegeta is constantly trying to catch up and surpass his power. Imagine an elastic string tied from Goku to Vegeta. When Goku gets stronger, it eventually pulls Vegeta up. The more competitive the characters are, the more inelastic the string. Now take that feeling and multiply it by at least 12, which is what Haikyuu gives you. When one character gets better, it's like a chain reaction goes off. For example, Kageyama goes off to camp at one point and becomes accustomed to setting the ball higher for the middle blocker he was playing with. When he goes back, he continues to set the ball higher because he knows Tsukishima should be able to hit it, forcing Tsukishima to put in more work than he was. When they pull it off in a game, he can go above the blockers and score off a shot that would have been blocked before this. Upon seeing this, Hinata, who is more obsessed with spiking than anything, gets motivated to jump even higher. Nishinoya, who is just as dominant of a defensive force as Suki, is motivated to be even better at defense now because Suki is oppressive on both offense and defense. The third years are all motivated by it because they don't want to be overshadowed by a first year. Tanaka is inspired by it because he's a wing spiker. He should be scoring shots like that, but eventually, he also learns to help Tsukishima block. Expanding his arsenal, this goes on and on. It's a constant tug of war where everyone is moving forward. While the time on the court is incredibly hype and fun to watch, the entire cast of characters, including members of rival teams, it's just so likable, it's just as much fun to watch them off the court. The show does a great job of making them feel like actual group of teenage boys in high school. They aren't perfect, they all have flaws, quirks, and motivations. Character development is interwoven continuously into every moment of the show, whether it's a character getting half an episode for a backstory flashback, a short side break to an inner dialogue, or a quick offhand comment about a team mid-game. Nearly every character feels essential and unique, making it easy to find at least one character you connect with. The likability of members on other teams makes moments where you're jumping out of your seat in excitement, followed by a wave of sadness, as you watch the other teams fall to pieces having worked just as hard to get there as Karasuno did. The other team never pull any punches though, and there are times where Kurasuno is the one you're watching fall to pieces. This gives an exciting edge to every match as you never know who will come out on top, which helped this anime feel even more grounded in reality. Grounded is a funny word to use when so much of this anime features scenes like this. Progression is vital here, and watching the first few matches was exciting, don't get me wrong. It was more of a raw, unrefined gameplay. I went into this anime knowing the basics of what high school gym class taught me about volleyball, and as the series went on, I felt like I, too, was learning what makes a good strategy in volleyball at the same time the players were. Play fast, jump high, hit ball hard. Soon became an intricate game of chess where you have people planning their positioning 3 moves ahead of actually getting the ball. Baiting, synchronized attacks, conditioning the attacker to hit a ball a certain way by how you line up your blocks, and serving techniques and their advantages are just a few of the things I've learned since watching. And because I felt like I was learning at the same time, I caught myself looking like an idiot, swinging my arm over my head in my bed to hit a spike at the same time as they were, or screaming when Nishinoya finally can block a certain type of shot that was causing him trouble. Some other sports animes take things out of the realm of possibilities, or make it so they're just one godly player. But with Haikyuu, everyone on the team is growing and making amazing plays together. After every episode, when the credits are rolling, you walk away thinking, wow, volleyball looks so fucking hype. And speaking of looking hype, the footage I have shown so far speaks for itself, but I think with just how goddamn beautiful this anime really is, it helps draw in a crowd that may usually turn their nose up at sports animes. The attention to how the artists frame each scene never fails to draw you into the action, and the cinematography rivals that of big-budget Hollywood films, framing different characters in unique ways to give hints about their personality, or transitioning to heavily inking the characters in moments of action. The impact wave of the ball, mixed with an incredible sound design, often has me thinking, would I have been okay if that hit me? Seriously though, there are some serves where it looks like fucking Mike Tyson's fist is flying at you. Competition is a tale as old as time, and throughout the series, they use animalistic imagery mixed with the players to evoke a feeling of primal instinct. When Hinata goes up for a spike, the camera shifts to a view of his eyes, like a hawk scanning a field for an unsuspecting mouse. When he leaps into the air, wings are sometimes shown that the flightless crows of Kurasuno are regaining their ability to soar high above their enemies. Other teams' mascots or representations include things like a king and his knights, cats, eagles, a giant iron wall, snakes, and monkeys. So yes, this anime's fight scenes are all played on a similar court with the same rules, but the vast differences in the team's dynamics and how they weaponize the ball and their players make every match feel distinct. To sum it all up, Haikyuu is just a damn good time. The characters all feel unique and you never feel like your time's being wasted with any of the episodes. If you like sports and don't watch anime, or if you like anime and you don't like sports, I promise you if you give this series a chance, you too will be screaming, Again, this has been Jesse with Loki Doki. I appreciate you spending your time on this channel, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Please consider liking and subscribing for more content.